He lived in a cabin deep in the Montana woods. No electricity, no running water, no internet, just notebooks, trees, and rage. Over 17 years, he mailed 16 bombs, blew off fingers, took lives, paralyzed a computer science professor, shut down airlines, brought the FBI to its knees. They called him the Unabomber. But Ted Kaczynski wasn't just a terrorist. He was a Harvard math prodigy, a recluse, a man who vanished into the forest and declared war on modern civilization. And when the world finally read his 35,000-word manifesto, many asked the most chilling question of all: was he right? Cambridge, 1958. Ted was just 16 when he stepped onto the Harvard campus. Short, quiet, brilliant. He didn't party, didn't date, barely spoke, but he could dismantle mathematical theorems like they were Lego bricks. On paper, a prodigy. In reality, a ghost. But behind the scenes, something darker was happening, something most people don't learn until decades later. Ted had been selected for a classified psychological experiment, one run by a former OSS agent named Henry Murray. Its goal: break subjects mentally. For 3 years, Ted was verbally assaulted, manipulated, degraded. Electrodes monitored his stress response as he was humiliated again and again. The experiment was later revealed to be part of something even worse: Project MK-Ultra, a CIA-backed initiative to test psychological torture and mind control. And Ted, he wasn't just collateral damage. He was a petri dish. By the early 1970s, Ted had earned a PhD in mathematics, a Harvard grad, a Berkeley professor, and then he disappeared. Literally. Quit his job, packed up, vanished into the wilderness of Montana, where he built a 10 by 12-foot cabin with no heat, no water, no neighbors. To the outside world, Ted Kaczynski was gone. But in that cabin, something terrifying was brewing. May 25th, 1978, a package appears at the University of Illinois, Chicago. No return address, no note, just wires, batteries, and nails. It explodes. A year later, another bomb, this time at Northwestern. Then an airline executive. Then a Boeing flight. The FBI realized this wasn't random. The packages were targeting universities and airlines. They coined a name for the suspect: Unabomb, University and Airline Bomber. The media turned it into a myth. The Unabomber, for years, no one could stop him. He left no fingerprints, no DNA, no calls, no motive, just destruction. He mailed his bombs from different states, traveled by bus, changed his appearance. Some say he even practiced walking in different gaits to confuse security cameras. The FBI formed the largest manhunt in U.S. history. Dozens of agents, millions of dollars. But Ted, he was always 2 steps ahead. In 1995, a letter arrived at the New York Times. It came from someone calling himself FC, Freedom Club. In it, a demand: publish my 35,000-word essay or people will die. The FBI was torn. To print, it meant giving a murderer a megaphone, but they also knew maybe someone would recognize his writing. So they printed it. Title: Industrial Society and Its Future. It wasn't ranting, it wasn't madness, it was cold, logical, deeply structured. A philosophical attack on modern civilization itself. Ted argued that technology had enslaved humanity, that industrialization robbed people of freedom, identity, and connection to nature, that the more society advanced, the more it would dehumanize us. Narrator reflective. He predicted mass surveillance, social isolation, the rise of meaningless work, the erosion of community, even how activist movements would be co-opted by the very systems they sought to change. And here's the scariest part: he wasn't entirely wrong. In a small apartment in upstate New York, a man named David Kaczynski read the manifesto. His heart stopped. The tone, the phrasing, the ideas, he knew them. He'd grown up with them. They sounded like his brother Ted. He wrestled with the guilt, the doubt. Could his older brother, the kid genius, the loner, the man who vanished into the woods, be the most wanted domestic terrorist in America? David went to the FBI. A few months later, April 3rd, 1996, FBI agents swarmed the cabin in Montana. Inside, they found typewriters, bomb-making tools, journals, and a completed copy of the manifesto. Unabomber had been caught, but the damage was done. Ted was sentenced to life in prison without parole. He never expressed remorse, never apologized. In 2023, at age 81, he died in his prison cell from suicide. Here's the question no one wants to ask. What if the Unabomber, the murderer, the terrorist, saw something real? He was twisted, broken, unforgivable, but he also lived a question many still whisper. What have we lost in the name of progress? His warnings are archived now, not in a manifest of violence, but in the growing anxiety of a world spiraling toward algorithmic isolation, surveillance capitalism, and human disconnection. Some call him a prophet, others call him evil, but all agree Ted Kaczynski was a mirror, and what we saw reflected wasn't just him, it was us. One man retreated from the world to save his soul and tried to destroy the system he thought had taken it. What are you willing to give up for freedom? Like, share, subscribe, but remember, some stories aren't just told, they're warnings.